Hello, everybody. Welcome to the special edition of Frame Trap. It comes once a year. It's time for Noodles and Broth, one of the best times of the year. And joining me for this very special episode is Michael Huber.
Hello.
Bradley Ellis.
Yo!
And Brandon Jones.
Yummy.
Yummy. Yeah, so what this episode is, the reason it's different from a normal Frame Trap, is it entirely consists of impressions from the show floor, games that we played, both big and small. If you've never seen it before, this segment has also gotten mired in lore that I try to have as much fun with as possible. And we are going to have a little introduction to this episode of Noodles and Broth. We are going to continue the story. Damiani, if you would please play the music. The year is 2021. It's been 2 years since the D virus outbreak and the ultimate failure to activate the Devil Trigger seal. The United States declared martial law soon after the outbreak, but quickly succumbed to the overpowering brutality of the D virus. The general population, what's left of them, is scattered and scared. They hide in whatever hovels they can find, taking bleak comfort in each other. In spite of the rampant chaos, or perhaps because of it, one mega corporation is thriving. Their name, the Jinra Synthetic Food Corporation. Once per week, remaining residents who think they have sufficient cooking skills can sign a waiver. They are then blindfolded and transported to a non-disclosed laboratory. The cooks have to present innovative dishes to the corporation. If they impress well enough, they will be allowed to work within Jinra Tower, safe from the D virus. Supposedly, Jinra uses these dishes as research in an effort to improve their synthetic food. Because Jinra controls the entire country's food supply, they control the country. Today, we joined 3 individuals who aspire to join Jinra's ranks. Their assigned dish? Ramen. Let's see if they have the skills to impress the mega corporation. And that is our setup for this year's Noodle and Broth. We have 3 aspiring chefs in an non-disclosed laboratory. And the way this is going to work is I'm going to ask each of my panelists for a noodle, and that'll be a big game that really just impressed and lived up to expectations, or maybe perhaps exceeded expectations. And then the broth, a game that is not necessarily small, but maybe lesser known, not commanding as much attention as the biggest things, to kind of complement their big noodles. Brad, I want to start with you.
Oh, shoot. All right.
And I want to start with your noodles. What are you going to do to try to get into Jinra Tower?
Chef, the noodles I am bringing are not your typical noodle you might not be familiar with.
Okay.
These noodles are from somewhere deep, dark, and spooky. The noodles I am bringing is Doom Eternal. That's my presentation. That's it.
Thank you. You're allowed into the tower. Congratulations.
Holy jeez, man. Played Doom today with Hubert. So Doom 2016 brought Doom back into my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like Doom 3, whatever. And after Doom 3, I haven't played Doom for a long time.
The Doom 3 disrespect.
Dude, whatever, man.
Sure. I like it.
Enough with the flashlight. Get out of here. Anyways, Doom 16, phenomenal. We all loved it.
Yes.
Here comes Doom Eternal. Taking everything they learned from Doom and just making it better in pretty much every single way.
How do you make something that's so good even better?
More mobility, more variation, making you use all your tools. So, Ben, as you know, and Hubert, as you know...
Because we both played it.
We got exactly. I was playing with Hubert, sick.
Yeah.
We got a lot of new coming to the table. We got a lot of new weapons. We got a lot of new abilities. We got the dashes now. We're dashing all the time. We got the double jump, of course. It's back. But now we can grab stuff. We're climbing. We're platforming. The platforming's actually really fun and works works well. I know you can attest to that, Chef.
Yes, I can. you are definitely chef pandering right now. You're corporation pandering.
This is how I live.
But,
don't die.
So you're, something that Doom 2016 was praised for is how well it did the secrets and how much fun it was to collect all of them and to do all the challenges and that sort of thing. But in Doom Eternal, you can it's more vertical.
Yes.
You've got wall climbing now. You've got the grappling hook. How did you feel like that stuff affected exploration?
I just felt like even more of a badass as the Doomslayer. I felt even more unstoppable. I thought Doomslayer from 2016 was a psychopath already. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm on a whole nother level now. Like injected with geostigma going around. We're soldier first class Doom guy now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and these new guns you get, the grappling hook, dude. The first time I grappling hooked something and just shot him with the double barrel shotgun.
Yeah.
Zit, the biggest smile across my face.
Brad, I like how you're taking the Doomslayer, somebody who's already like immensely iconic and awesome, and being like, well, now they're Final Fantasy VII status. Now they're Shinra First Class.
There was a moment in the demo. There's a big BFG shooting off in the demo, like the BFG 10,000. You can see in the distance. Make your way through the level. The Doom guy goes in the BFG cannon and shoots himself out of it into the next location. Mm-hmm. This guy is stopping for nothing. Ben, I love the new weapons you got. The grenade launcher and the flamethrower. So like the original game, you could do the finishing kills to get health. Now you could also set guys on fire to get armor. Or you can, if you melee kill them a lot, you'll build up like a blood meter. I forgot exactly what it's called. But it'll unleash like a devastating melee attack.
When it's ready, it does this like demonic chant. Yeah, it goes.
Like I punched like 10, I'm not even exaggerating, 10 dudes and they all exploded.
And then you also have the chainsaw to slice them
up. Which gives you the ammo.
Right, and it gives you ammo in case you're low on that.
What's great about it, they're all just bound to, I played on PC, obviously. Mm-hmm. They're all bound to individual keys. So it's really easy to switch between this, and the game has a really good flow and is designed really well to make you want to like keep all these in mind. If you neglect one of these for too long, it'll really start to affect you. I was using the double barrel shotgun, just having a good old time, dude. I'm like, oh man, I forgot the chainsaw. Cut some dude in half. Ammo comes flying out of it. We're back in business, baby.
Brad, something you said that completely lined up with my own impressions after I played it was you're absolutely right. How thoroughly you have to use not just every single weapon that you have, but every single mode of death that you have. Mm-hmm. You need, like, enemies just swarm you so much, and the composition of the enemies that you're fighting, like, there's so much strategy in any single encounter, especially in the combat arenas that you get into.
You like never stop moving, and the game gives you even more tools to allow that to happen and just feel even more fluid. You can like grab off stuff now and swing through. The double dash or dash obviously helps a lot. Like you're in these battle arenas, you're not stopping moving. You're going up and down through everything. You're taking cover briefly. You're just going all over the place. You're switching guns constantly.
Yeah.
It's great.
As somebody who loves Doom 2016, who brought it to the Hall of Greats and played it not that long ago, did you feel like this was more difficult? Was it easy to adapt to? Did you find it, I guess, more surprising than Doom 2016?
I would say it's a little more tactical, I would say, just from the new things they've added. I wouldn't know necessarily if it's more difficult until I got further in the game.
Yeah.
There was points where I was like, I'm going to die, kind of thing like that. Like I had to really pay attention. But I was surprised at how well it was. I like loved Doom 2016 and this just blew it out blew it out of the water, honestly, to me. It's just that much better to me now. And I played for like 12, 15 minutes.
Huber, as somebody who reviewed 2016 and has an official certificate of authenticity,
should have given it a 9
from the Jinra Corporation, and in terms of like shotgun authority.
Yeah.
How did you feel about Doom Eternal?
100%. Everything Brad has said. 100% agree with all of it. Really appreciated the difficulty. I was constantly near death, but it was because I wasn't tuned to like the rotations of having to use all the abilities.
Yeah.
So I imagine like getting all of that just muscle memory, you're just going to be like an unstoppable killing machine, but you have to work for it. You have to earn it. Like Brad was saying, I ran out of ammo so many times, and like that's awesome because in Doom 2016, it's like I'm only using the shotgun.
Yeah.
I'm never really going to change it, you know? And they found a way to really make you use all your tools and all your weapons without it feeling cheap or annoying, you know? Like switching back and forth and using the melee kills and the chainsaw, like everything feels so good that it's like a pleasure to just kind of swap around.
Huber and Brad.
Yes.
There for the demo, there were only 2 difficulties available. It was basically easy and normal. And I feel like playing other shooters, other single-player shooter campaigns on normal difficulty, if you have like any competency with shooters, you can just kind of sleep through them, and it gets to a point where you're not even really thinking about it. And in this Doom Eternal demo, it was like the exact opposite, where things would hit you so hard, things would be so fast, and they actually required strategy to get through, that it was like, man, I wish every game could feel like this. I wish every game could have moments feel like engaging from beginning to end, like all killer, no filler. And I think is just what, and obviously it's a demo. I think it's easier to tune it for a demo. May not necessarily be the case for the full game, but if it is representative of what we're going to get, I was just like extremely impressed.
There was one funny moment too when Mike was playing. When he started playing, I hear him go, "How do I turn these headphones up?" And the guy goes like, "Oh, he's like, oh, it's right here." He's like, "Yeah, I'm turning it up all the way."
Max it. I was like, give me max volume,
Max volume,
please.
like shouting it in the little room. It was awesome.
I was like, I want to blow my ears out.
Yeah, I listened to that real loud too. That soundtrack, man.
Yeah.
It makes you want to kill demons.
Mick Gordon,
it's
man.
Perfect.
Alleged is a Doomslayer in his own right.
Doomslayer, yes.
Yeah, it's obviously building off Doom 2016 quite heavily, and so they have a very incredibly solid foundation there. But as somebody who has played a lot of press demos, and yes, I have a strong affinity for Doom already, but it was one of the most polished and impressive like press demos I've ever seen. When Huber and I played Overwatch for the first time at BlizzCon, we jokingly said, like, "Hey, you can. This is done. Like, you can just release this. Like, it's good to go." I felt the same confidence in Doom Eternal, which was really cool. I want to go back to the double barrel shotgun, the grappling hook, because you get that, and then kind of right away it's like, hey, like here's how you use it. Did you find it useful throughout the demo? Were you finding reasons to grapple on an enemy, get in their face, and shoot them?
Yes.
Beyond just obviously the inherent coolness of it.
I was like jumping huge gaps and grappling on a guys to just cover the distance too and getting a sweet kill out of it.
Yeah.
Platforming is incredible. It's like jump, double jump, dash, swing, grapple, grab a wall. Just all that working together. All the platforming felt so good. Like to have the exploration, the platforming, and the shooting, all of them working together, feeling as good as it does. Like, just release it. Release it
And
now.
the demo just did a really good job of setting the tone and like the story and who you are. You're walking through the space station all slow. Everyone's like afraid of you, like backing up.
Yeah.
You could take the guy's key card and just drag him across,
It was like the humans were more afraid of the Doomslayer than the demons.
Yeah.
They're just like, holy shit.
As they should be.
Yeah.
There are two other aspects that I actually think are really, really cool that we haven't touched on yet. And the first of those is the extra lives system.
Yeah.
That it is.
Yeah.
So as you're going through the demo, and you can see this in the gameplay reveal that they did at QuakeCon, but as you're going through the demo, you'll get 1-ups. And what that is if you have a 1-up available and you die, you'll actually be able to revive at that spot. And you're like, oh man, does that kind of take the threat out of combat encounters? And it does two things. It super doesn't, because the way that this is tuned is I feel like it actually is harder and more hard-hitting than it is in Doom 2016. Like, you go up against a strong enemy, and it's like 2 hits and you're down. And so it just becomes something that you really need. And it also kind of becomes a strategy where it's like, okay, I know that like this area is not that bad and there's a way worse area later. So I have to be extra careful here and not do something stupid because I'm going to need that extra life later on. And so it plays into the strategy, but it also encourages exploration because these extra lives are kind of in tricky spots. And I actually got to play through the demo twice. And in the combat arena that you're in, the final combat arena, it's easy to miss if you're not paying attention, but at the very top, there is an extra life. And so in the midst of this chaos against all these enemies that are just constantly spawning in, if you can actually find the time to go and jump and get up there, you get an extra life, and it just feels really cool.
And it's cool. The demons are like a military faction almost, right? You have the the grunt soldiers kind of at war,
like the infected
like,
the humans or whatever,
which is classic Doom, like Imps fighting the soldiers or whatever. But like when the demons are working together, you have like Hell Knights just charging at you. Yep. You have the Archon things like spawning like shield barriers, just like he was like up on a little nook, just like in a corner, just like spawning magic. You have things flying, like just pecking at you. It's crazy. There's a lot to
chaos.
Yeah.
The second thing that I want to talk about that is also really cool and again plays into the strategy is the destructibility, how you can kind of break off pieces of some of the demons.
Enemies, yeah.
And it gets really, really, really important. And a perfect example that I encountered in my demo was the Arachnotron. They have this tail gun, and it will just do an incredible amount of damage to you, but you can specifically target that part of the Arachnotron, break it off, and then they won't have access to that. And there are some weapons that are better at doing that than others. So, like, if you use the rocket launcher, what you can do is you can, like, left-click fire and then time it right, and then right-click and blow it up manually. And if you do that, it's really effective against like this cannon that the Arachnotron has. And when you time it right, there's like a little ping letting you know that you hit it successfully. And I love that. I think that's so
great.
cool. But Bradley Ellis, the danger that you're running into is that your noodles are so good, you're gonna need some broth to balance that intense flavor out.
A very different kind of broth to balance it out.
Very different kind of noodles, very different kind of broth.
We will see.
What is your broth?
Do you want me to do the
I want you to do it right now, unless anybody else has anything to say about Doom Eternal.
I'm ready to
rip and tear.
I'm ready to rip and tear, and I really want to try. I'm so intrigued about that multiplayer component. Because there's not going to be a traditional multiplayer at all now. It's just that...
Wait, no. They said there's battle modes and then...
There's the invasion stuff, too.
The invasion stuff. But I don't think it's having, like, a deathmatch.
Deathmatch?
Okay, I'm actually not sure. You're making me doubt myself because I thought I read something where it's like...
It's there.
They have other modes as well. In addition to... Like, they have standard multiplayer modes and battle mode.
Yeah, they're probably just showing off the new mode.
Maybe I read it will have it, and I thought it said it won't.
Not sure.
I probably got my words mixed up. Might be.
But yeah, it's
still intrigued.
Like potentially has standard modes, battle mode, and invasion on top of that. On top of the campaign. It's crazy.
Like my noodle, the broth is not from this world. This broth is an interstellar broth.
Ah, okay. Damiani fact checking us. Thank you. Doom Eternal will not have deathmatch multiplayer.
Yep.
Cool. You were right, Huber.
The broth I'm bringing is Carrion.
Oh. Yes! I'm so glad you got to check this out.
Yes, Jones. Yes. So Carrion is a 2D side-scrolling, kind of like Metroid, going through areas, unlocking new stuff, progressing. Instead of like horror movies where monsters are chasing the heroes or whatever the whole time, you are the sick freak monster. You are killing people. You're eating them. You're devouring. You are some crazy flesh blob.
You're a freaker.
You're a damn freak. That's right, man. You're a damn freak. You're just some weird pus thing of flesh going around killing people, eating them, creeping through vents. This game controls so good.
Wow.
I played it immediately and I was like, wow, I feel so in control. This feels great.
Even though that you're just a blob, did you feel like it was super intuitive?
I felt like an agile blob.
Yeah, that's like my first, probably only biggest question between me and this game is when I saw the trailer for it. It was like, how hard is this? Because it looks like this person's just kind of moving the analog stick, and
So
and this
it starts off
alien's
pretty easy like that, Jones. You're killing like just normal like civilians or scientists probably who are unarmed. Eventually, there's guys with guns shooting at you, so you got to devour them. You can also like grab them and just throw them into stuff.
Brad, important question.
Yes.
Do you feel like a soldier first class blob?
I feel like the meteor, black materia coming to the planet, ready to crush it. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
Like, I am a force of nature in this thing. But there's other, like, I ran into other humans later on that had flamethrowers, Jones, and they were a little harder to bite through with armor, but I was able to grab them and drown them in the water. Dude. And then you go...
Do you have a health bar?
Yes,
Okay.
you, like, do. So... As you eat people, you kind of grow in mass, and if you get hurt too much, you'll shrink. But there is like hives that kind of count as your checkpoints you go to, where you could go, you play, like you like infect this area. Like all the levels end with like a door, and you usually need to hit a couple points to infect it so you can open this door.
Okay.
Later on, Jones, you can also change like bigger mass, and I got new abilities. So one of the first abilities I got was like a web you'd shoot at guys, and they can get stuck on the wall. They're like, like freaking out. Then you could like eat them or whatever after that.
Yeah.
But then you get your other form, Jones, where you're all huge and you just get some crazy charge, and you're able to bust through like walls now that you couldn't before. But you lose the web ability, so you're encouraged to go back to places and change forms every now and then if you have to progress through the level.
Cool.
Okay, so I like the fact that you're being limited, but I could also see, especially as things expand over time, like that maybe being annoying, where it's like, okay, I've got a good flow going, and then I run into this obstacle. Oh, I got to go all the way back. And
So
change
like
again.
it's like laid out like it feels like you're going through a zone from like Symphony of the Night or Metroid,
Yeah.
but they're not very long. The developer told me it has like a hub world, kind of like Zelda, is what he told me. I didn't see it, but this is what he told me. And he said they treat the dungeons as like these levels. So apparently you go into these like dungeons that are just like the stages or the zone you go to, and you go through like a couple levels.
Yeah.
And each level probably takes like 5 to 10 minutes. There's no map, but the way it's designed is it's not confusing. It's not very confusing, so you kind of know where you're going. He's like, yeah, we're really influenced by Dark Souls, like how it's layout. We don't want a map. So I pretty much like knew kind of like, I'm like, oh yeah, over there. I know where I'm going now. Or I'd find like a new little secret area. I'm like, oh, okay. Then I'd hit a switch and something would like open up. I'm like, oh, I know exactly where that is.
Cool.
So I was never really lost, but there was a sense of exploration.
Cool. Question, you talked about like drowning that guy and,
Yeah.
and just kind of the creative things that you can do. Do you feel like the game is kind of necessitating that with maybe like environmental dangers or specific enemy types? Or is it like just kind of, hey, you have all these different ways to kill them, go nuts, do whatever you want?
So from what I played, it seemed early on, and it felt like to me they were just introducing me to the ideas of this kind of thing like that. So maybe later on, it'll be more like you have just more tools, I guess.
When you mentioned like all this mutation and all the things you can do and just the way that you move and how you increase and decrease in size, that just seems to naturally lend itself to puzzles. Did you encounter
There was
puzzles?
like, so you have with your flesh grip, you could open doors and just rip them off.
Flesh grip.
Later on, you could like pull switches with stuff. I could use the webs I was doing to shoot through stuff I couldn't reach to like hit a switch or something like that. So very light puzzle elements. I did get it an unlock ability. It was almost like the Predator cloak. There was lasers, and if I'd cross through it, it would shut a door. But then I got this Predator cloak, and I could sneak by.
So it was a laser puzzle.
Not in the sense you're thinking. I'm not turning lasers anywhere. But you can't just abuse this power. You have to like absorb electricity from a panel, so you can only do it a little amount.
Was the ship interesting? Because like what?
I wasn't just. I just wasn't. I don't think it was just a ship because it was.
or
It
the
seemed,
space
it
station.
seemed
I'm just.
like-
I got alien on the brain,
It
so it's
seemed
like it's
the
probably
first
not.
area kind of had like that alien kind of vibe. Then I went out somewhere and there's like plant life.
So like it
It
changed. 'cause
changes up the location. Or
From
like,
the trailer made it look like kind of you're the centerpiece. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's like almost like the more generic the backgrounds are, the more fun it is to just rip them up because it just reminds you of classic like B movie
Yeah.
horror. So I was curious if like did you ever get a sense of like a little bit of wonder of like, ooh, what's this place?
Yeah, like because I was in some little little more darker areas for a little bit. Then it started to get brighter.
Cool.
There's plants and everything, green life going. I'm like, okay, killing
Nice.
guys in new locales. I'm down.
When you're creeping up on these enemies,
You could
these-
actually creep too. So if you like go through two stuff, people could hear you, but you could actually like creep through. And be like- So there was this part I really loved, man. Classic movie horror part. There's two guys below me with guns, and there's two vents, and
Yeah.
I'm up here. And when they're walking around, I'm on top of them. I'm like, pull one guy up, like, blah, 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 blah. Then I get the other guy. Felt like a predator. Felt like a xenomorph.
That reminds me of the Half-Life guys where they're
Yeah.
stuck to the wall and they
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
long tongues and they drag
Ugh.
you up and then
Yeah.
start
Did they
chopping on
freak
you.
out at all?
yeah,
Like
they're
if you killed one guy, did other people notice
Yeah,
and like
everyone's,
get scared?
starts shooting at me and stuff.
And the way I play Carrion is
Yeah.
I creep and then flesh grip. When you're creeping up on these enemies, do you like hear them interacting or I guess
don't,
reading
you
dialogue
don't like
or
hear them
anything?
like talking really
Okay.
or anything like that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, you can also move real fast in this game.
Yeah.
Real fast. So if you know what you're doing, I bet like when you hit like that comfortability of playing the game for a while,
Yeah.
you're just gonna be like flying through like a killing machine.
Brad, I imagine just the speed and
Hmm.
the way that you move and the tools that you have available, this game will be awesome to watch speedrunners just demolish.
I was thinking that as I was playing it.
Nice.
I meant to ask the guy that, but I forgot to. But I was super impressed. Weird game, cool concept. I had a really good time with it. I want to play more. And the idea of it having like a hub kind of world that they were inspired by Zelda for in this design.
Yeah.
Sounds so like you're a weird space alien. Yes.
Give it up.
Give it up.
Give
Was
it
there
up for
any was there
Carrion.
any lore for its origin?
They wouldn't tell me.
Cool.
There was,
I
like,
hope
the
that's
the
all.
less
Check it
the
out.
better. Baby.
There
yeah,
was-
yeah. I
there
hope
was-
it's
There
a
was
good
like
reveal.
other life beings inside things that I'd shake it, rip it open, and I'd get like new ability. That's how I got like the web ability and stuff like that.
awesome.
Was Keanu Reeves in it?
Yes.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Brad, we've had many chefs bring many things to Noodles and Broth for a number of years now. But that, boy, I think that was just about as strong of an opening as you could ask
Thank
for.
you, Chef.
Which means, Brandon, you're going to have to follow it up.
All right.
I shouldn't
Dude,
slam
I'm
the desk.
stoked to hear
Okay.
Brandon,
see
what
this
do you
dish.
got for, this time we're going to start with the broth. Mix it up. Yeah.
Oh.
Expecting
This is the
unexpected.
kind of excitement you can
Well-
expect on Frame Trip.
Well, my offering is also from another world.
What?
But it's definitely, not as. I mean, it is pretty funny watching scientists scream and die. But and you definitely do get to watch human beings scream and die because in my game you are destroying all
Oh, nice.
humans.
Nice,
dude.
dude. Don just
Yeah, where's
fist
Don?
pumped right now.
Well, I'm gonna fist pump with Dom because I love both of those games.
Oh.
And I played this at Judges Week. And I walk into the room, THQ Nordic's at a hotel. I know, like, when I see it on the sheet, I'm like, I know where that room is. I know exactly where to go. Walking down the stairs, pop in. What do we got? We got a little Desperados 3 over here. Okay, I'll check that out. We got an interesting World War II game that, I'm looking forward to talking about later. We got that Darksiders Genesis. I'm curious about that. And then, lo and behold, destroy all humans. Not destroy all humans 3, not destroy all humans, dehumanized or some catch. Just destroy all humans, end quote. And I just exclaimed out loud, destroy all humans! And I could see like the 3 or 4 devs like by the PCs. And they were like really proud. Like, all right, well, we got one of them.
Destroy all humans. I love Xbox.
So, wait on the PC, but still. So I immediately knew I was in good hands when I boot this game up and it gets to the first cutscene. And Chef, I want to ask you to try to recognize when you see there's a difference between a good remaster, like, oh, that I'll play that. They did a good job. And they clearly kind of like started with a blank slate. Like they had the idea of kind of what these cutscenes look like, what these characters look like. The design hasn't necessarily changed.
Which can be weird because when they start with that blank slate,
Yeah.
sometimes you get like an approximation and
Yes.
it doesn't feel quite right.
Or they focus on one element but not so much other things. So you get like a really good looking character and a really weird background. And cutscene opens, his very classic Ed Wood, Plan 9 from Outer Space, UFO comes, and I just look at this UFO and I'm like, they rebuilt that. That's not a glossed up texture from the Xbox days. Like that's clearly like a redone texture. And for those who are not familiar, Stray Humans, you play as, oh boy, I forgot his name, but you play as this alien that is sent to Earth to kind of like scan, kind of see what's going on. So it's, even though it has the Destroy All Humans name, even like that is in the title, and you all will be doing terrible, terrible things to human beings. There's a lot of stealth involved. There's a lot of subterfuge. There's a lot of sneakiness that happens in the game. And so this first area is the beginning of the game. You're on a farm, classic, alien sci-fi. You got cows and pissed off farmers, and you land and you have a very pushy boss who does not like the main character and is basically like, your job is on the line. I'm really counting on you to do this. And so what's fun about this game is just this attitude of this main alien guy. Like, he just doesn't like humans, doesn't like his job, just never seems to be happy about anything, always griping, always bitching. So he gets dropped onto this farm, and they do a really good job in a very short amount of time, giving you all sorts of fun tools to play with. It escalates from you like mind reading a chicken to at the end you're up in your UFO just lasering tanks as the military shows up and are driving in. And obviously, like, you'll get those abilities later on in the game, and you get introduced to bigger environments. But it was fun because I'm like, again, it's been years since I played on the Xbox, and so I'm like, I don't know comparatively if this is like exactly the same. I would imagine the script is the same, and they are it's the same voice actors, it's like the same recordings and the same music and everything. But I just really liked how playful a lot of it was, I think it strikes a good balance between I can goof around and have fun with these abilities, but it's also kind of tricky because I don't just want to rush at the military. Like, I do want to be sneaky about this. You have telekinesis abilities. You can pick things up, throw them around. Really great physicality with all the different objects, with humans or flailing their arms around, cows or just mooing and like flailing their arms around.
Yeah.
You can mind read just any sort of animal. So you can mind read, the farm animals. You can mind read cows. You can mind read the humans. And it was just kind of playful and silly in this demo, but later on, if memory serves, when you're trying to break into places, you start to learn relationships between NPCs and who's in charge, and they give you certain pieces of information. And then you also have a jetpack and a laser, and then eventually later in this demo, a UFO. And again, just like when these tanks are blowing up, like, if this game came out now in 2019, if this previous games had never happened and there's just a game called Destroy All Humans coming out now, I'd be like, that looks charming and fun. I'm not sure how big that budget was, but like, yeah, I might check that out. But given that I had already played this game and I'm seeing them, up-res it, create just new visuals for a new generation, they put a little more work into this than I was expecting, especially since not a franchise I thought was going to come back, no rumors of this happening that I knew, and so this just like completely came out of nowhere. And I didn't get to sample any of this, but they talked about how they're adding like little secrets here and there, like a little area you might not remember, like little bosses, especially since there was Destroy All Humans 2 as well. So I'm wondering if they maybe bring in some characters or some functionality that they added to 1 this time around. But I think I only played for 10 minutes, and I, just like your grin when that shotgun went off, I was like, yes, I love this guy. I love this franchise.
Sometimes humor, and I feel like maybe especially video game humor, doesn't always age the best. And the PS2, Xbox era video game humor, I can like think of box arts and just like attitudes that they were going for that were like very crude and crass, and there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes maybe that doesn't hit as hard today as it did back then. And I'm not that familiar with Destroy All Humans, which is obviously very going for a very specific style and vibe. But did you find it, I guess, equally charming and funny as you did all the way back then?
I think one of the key elements, the stuff might still be in the game, it just wasn't in this prologue. It's a parody, capital P parody. I mean, it's directly making fun of very specific things, a whole like drive-through sci-fi attitude from the 50s and 60s. But it never really makes like a direct connection. Like, there were no jokes where I'm like, I missed that. I don't know what actor they were referencing, or I don't, I'm not, didn't see that movie, missed that joke. It's kind of just a general attitude. Yeah. And one of the things that I think that game did so well and was so fun, kind of infiltrating this world, pretending to be people, like burying into their minds and learning their deepest, darkest secrets, is it just seems like everyone is against this guy. It's just like even his own, Martians like don't like him. Your boss doesn't like you. The military is just constantly saying nasty things about the alien threat. It's really fun to just, when you cause chaos, to have the military show up, to have police shooting at you, and everyone is just so angry and frustrated. And it's just really fun to kind of be in the middle of all of that. And from what I remember, what was really neat is it was open world, but they had smaller areas. I think there was like 2 or 3 areas in the game, and so you definitely got us. By the time you got to know an area, by the time you identified, oh, that's the big base I got to take over, then you could move on to a new area. There would be different vibes, different NPCs, and so like it wasn't something where you had a ton of freedom right away to explore everything. But there was like a really nice pace in how much you felt you were accomplishing, how easy it was to fast travel. You got the jetpack. I believe I didn't do this in the demo, but I believe there was like other stealth. You can go invisible or something. I remember like sneaking around through alleyways a lot in the prior games, and it just I was just really impressed with the demo that I played for the amount of time, how good the game looked compared to just frankly my expectations. Like not only in just what we get in general from remasters, but if you have something like as revered as Silent Hill get treated as poorly as it did when that got remastered, to have something like Destroy All Humans that I never thought it would come back again, to come back and have a style that really fits how fun you can make these characters look, definitely evocative of cinema, but still very cartoony and silly at the same time.
So it's a remaster, not a remake?
It is a remaster.
Remaster, okay.
It was one of those things where like, PR speak, they said at the demo, they're like, well, it's a little bit of both. It's a remaster. Like it's and,
Let me tell you, PR.
Right. And one of the big indicators for me is it's the same script, it's the same actors, same performances, and so when it's really that through line.
Totally.
Like I think the remaster part of it is that they didn't want to be beholden to anything that didn't work anymore. If there was some mechanic that they felt was outdated, they might have changed that. If there were story elements they wanted to add or scenes they wanted to take out, like they didn't feel like, well, that'll be, we won't, we'd be upsetting fans, or like we want to, keep the integrity of the original game. It's like, I think people love Destroy All Humans, but they're not going to be offended. We're like, that one weird mission that doesn't hold up isn't in the game anymore. So I think that's maybe what they mean.
I feel like sometimes with remakes and remasters, it can be kind of hard covering them, because if you're already very familiar with it and you already like it going in, that's kind of the perspective that you're coming from, where it's like, oh, hey, I remember.
It's a remake. The only thing they kept was music and VO. So like, I
Jones
got to
recognized
change
it.
up my rule set.
They wouldn't hire
He
you
did
for
say
the
both.
PR team.
He said it was half. He was like, it was a remake and remaster. So,
but
and it
yeah,
felt very familiar what I had played.
the perspective, like you're already going in having an attachment to Destroy All Humans. But I imagine for this remake, a lot of people will be coming to Destroy All Humans for the first time.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, do you think this game would be appealing to them? Like, what is it about this game? If you had to summarize it to somebody and be like, hey, this is why you should play this. This is the unique thing that really is worth your time amidst all these other games.
I just think of just how accessible it is. Like, there are stealth elements, like there is strategy, 2 parts, but it's one of those games where if you want to tackle the tough, to progress through the game, if you want to tackle those really challenging missions, like the game will throw some interesting stuff at you. But you can also just go read somebody's mind. You can also just go like blow up a cow. Like you get there's those fun, goofy things are so close at hand.
You're there to be goofy.
That you can have fun doing that. Like just flying around in the UFO and blowing stuff up. I was like, this could go on for 10 more minutes. I'm really having a good time. This game seems to me to be one of those absolute perfect gems for Xbox Gold and PS Plus. For you, like, there's one of those things where you see tweets where it's just like, if you're on PS Plus, please just download it and check it out, because it's really, really, it's just a fun, a release, and that's, I love the open world genre, but specifically every now and then, a couple times a year, we get one, like a Saints Row or something that's just like, it's not really going to be that competitive with like gameplay elements that we're used to in this, it's no Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but you will definitely have fun with it. And it's got a fun vibe. And there's just not a lot in like that genre. Like there's just not a lot of that, again, classic 50s, 60s, Twilight Zone kind of vibe.
Brandon, you are coming after Doom Eternal and Carrion. It's a tough act to follow.
Yeah.
But you did a pretty damn good job. I did not
Thank you.
expect
Yeah, you got me interested
Destroy
in it.
All Humans at all. And what I have to say is I did not know that you had this love for it. So it was cool. Fun.
It hasn't been around for a while.
Yeah.
Why it would have never come up,
But no broth
Yeah.
is complete without some thick noodles.
Yeah.
What are you bringing?
So I'm looking at a bowl right now of some odd broth. It's wholesome, it's nutritional.
It's got an odor.
But there's just an interesting kind of funk to it.
Yeah.
So to balance things out, I want to have noodles that are very wholesome. These noodles are made with natural ingredients. These are good for very healthy. There's lots of vitamins. in these noodles. These noodles were made on a farm with love and care.
Organic.
These are organic noodles provided to you by Dragon Quest Builders 2.
Yeah.
Which, appropriately, in the demo that I played, was all about farming.
Oh.
This game, Ben, this was the hands down nerdiest appointment I've had so far at E3 2019, including Judges Week, because I spent this entire time with the headphones on, and this isn't like in a private room or something. This is at the booth, so I'm next to just like people that waited in line, like we're just playing this game, and I would like every 2 minutes I would take the headphones off and grab one of the guys and be like, "Is this?" And they're like, "Yep." I'm like, "And that wasn't in the first game." They're like, "Nope," and we'd both be like. And then, I put the headphones on and go back to the game. And then 2 minutes later, I'd be like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, they changed that too." They just went through this game that I love. There was one specific note that they did, and I'm like, yes, that was something that really pissed me off about the first game that they fixed. And I honestly think I'd be happy if they just done that. But there were just lots of other fun quality of life things. The only bad thing I have to say about Dragon Quest Builders 2, it was a time demo, and it felt like 5 minutes. It was not. It was probably 15 or 20. But man, when that clock ran out,
You are not used to being cut off with
I was
builders,
shattered.
man.
Hey.
shattered.
But as somebody who played through the first game twice on different platforms, what would you say is the biggest thing where you're like, hell yeah, thank you for this?
I think one of the things that, and this is again me reading into the future, and for viewers at home, we might have some people in Japan that are like, I beat this game. What are you talking about? This game's been out in Japan, so these are a lot of improvements that I could have checked out streams or I could have read up on, but because it's been so painful to wait for this game, I've chosen to just kind of ignore a lot of the press.
Well,
because I know this is something that I'm going to check out.
You have limited time. It's like, okay, well, when you get a free second, it's either read another anime book or check out Japanese Dragon Quest Builders 2 videos. A man has to make a choice. And
I'm working on my conversational Japanese, but it's just not there yet to the point where I can watch streams. But I think one of the biggest things, the most surprising moment, the biggest one where I shut those headphones right off, and I was like, did I just see what I thought I saw? As you know, Ben, you have friends and neighbors that will follow you around on quests. And I begin this demo with a friend named Malroth. Malroth's got a little bit of an attitude. Malroth's not a big fan of the stuff that we're doing.
He has this awesome, spiky black hair bundled up in a ponytail. In the CG opening, he's has this giant club that he's wielding. I think you would like him a lot.
So we land in this we take a boat to a foreign land, which was interesting. There was a lot of magical teleportation in the first game, and this one's much more practical, we've gone to. And you mentioned you played the first demo, which I'm curious to.
Yeah.
There were two different demo parts.
Yeah.
The second one he
into that.
recommended. He's like, "Did you play Builders 1?" And I'm like, "Yes." And he's like, "Then go straight to the second demo." We take a boat to this land. Malroth's not feeling it. But at the same time, he's got attitude, and he doesn't always have my back. But at the same time, we finish an objective together, and we both jump in the air and give each other a high five. So
man,
good vibes,
so
good vibes.
sick.
But I have to construct something, and so I'm running out to grab the materials, and I have to grab blades of grass or something like that. And it's tricky because there's little 4-leaf clover looking things, and then every now and then a blade of grass. And so I'm hunting for that. Finally find one, and I hit it, and Malroth goes, "Oh, cool," and he runs over and he collects one. And so there's a lot of automated stuff like that. There's a lot of there's a lot of really fun functionality in Builders 1 where you could assign people to specific tasks or rooms. But this one, the AI kind of assumes what's going on and just takes over. So one of the objectives that I had to do was to build a scarecrow, which was a slime crow technically, because it had the slime face with the hat on. And to start the patch where we were going to start growing stuff, I had to put that in the middle of it. You had to do that with flags in the original game, which you might have to do in this game. I don't know. And the moment I started doing that, Rosie, this farmer that we had met, immediately started tilling the soil and working on that mission objective. So I could then go on and start building something or doing something else, and I could see the mission objectives adding up because it's she's just automatically started doing that. And there was automated stuff in the first game, but it was always just supplies. It's you built a kitchen. When people feel like it, they'll go in and make something. But it was neat to see Rosie be like, "No, I'm a farmer. Of all the NPCs you've met, I'm the one that's really interested in the thing you're doing now." And so it's interesting seeing, having NPCs just kind of naturally, take over and do things. And especially resource gathering. It was oh, thank you. You know, you can imagine like, you know, they might have this now. I haven't played Minecraft in a long time, but like having friends like, you know, AI friends follow you around and resource gather. Not only resource gather, but pay attention to what you're gathering, and then they look for that item.
I think that's super smart.
So yeah, that made me super happy. A lot of the other stuff was really just kind of quality of life improvements, but I love every single one of them. One huge one that would seem kind of obvious was in the original game, if you wanted to make an item at anything, at any of the different like benches you could build, where you would build different things, you could make one of it, or you could make as many of something as you could possibly make. But if you wanted to make like 6, you had to make 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4. Now you can just pick the number. It's like, oh, thank you. So really, I consider that a simple fix, but I was just so happy when I saw that. I had one item that I think was like a power glove or something. It was like, like a gauntlet and you can just pick something up.
Yep. They give you that you're on a ship.
Oh, in the demo.
Yep.
Okay.
And they go through that whole process. Yep.
And so like it freaked me out the first time it happened because I'm just getting used to they changed the controls around a little bit, and so I accidentally pressed that and just like picked up a tree. And I was like, oh, cool. So like if I want to like, you know, it bummed me out because there were some times where like there'd be some object somewhere and I'm like, I like that object, that thing's cool, but in the old game I just had to destroy it and collect the resources. And it's neat to just be like, no, I want the tree to be there. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I dug that. There is a first-person mode now, which rules.
It's so cool, Brandon. It is so cool, and you can just seamlessly go into it by just clicking in the right stick.
Yeah. The old game kind of had that, and the way that it would work is if you would go into a room where the walls were so close to your character, it would just kind of auto-adjust, like, whoa, okay, you just walked into that room, and I'm just going to kind of hug the walls, and so it would, like, be close to you, but maybe move into first person depending on where you were in the room. And that was like something that I was problematic about the first game, but something that I played so much of it that I just got used to it. It was definitely a hurdle to get over, but by like the time I finished PS4 and then booted up the next one at Switch, like I didn't really think about it. But to actually like just like a first person exploration game, just walk through all these environments and I think get more comfortable creating smaller rooms and not feel so claustrophobic where you're just like, I can't, you know.
And it's also nice.
It's tough to see the environment when I'm in a room.
Just meeting a new character and being able to go into first person and really get a good look at them.
Because it's fun, nice. You know, when they like cook, you know, you can see them doing stuff. You can see the items that they're making. And so it's like, it's neat to, granted, I was in an open environment right at the point where they laid down a blueprint and I just started to build something. Clock ran out. So I didn't get a chance to like actually like go indoors and check first person, but even just outdoors, I was like, oh, love it. One of the things that I think is a little bizarre. I'm curious to see how this plays out. I don't know if you confronted this in the demo, but when I planted the scarecrow down, Rosie got really excited and she started tilling the soil, and then a little heart popped out of her. And I went over and grabbed the heart, and it registered as a gratitude point.
Oh. I did not see this at all. Dang.
And I don't know what I use these for or spend these on, but she was like, she notices me pick it up, and she's like, whoa, what did you just do? And I'm like, oh, I just picked up this thing. And she's like, God, that's funny because I just felt this sense of like fulfillment for a moment there. Like I really felt like I was doing what I should be doing and that everything was going to be okay. And I got really happy. And she's like, yeah, if you found that, like you should collect those. And I was like, okay, like Rosie's working in the soil, dropping things on the floor, and I'm picking them up. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but and I hope, you know, like I think my biggest fear is that like you get a town full of 20 people and it's just hearts all over the place. Like I don't know how prevalent that is, and again, I don't know what the benefit is, like how much of that you want to spend, but I hope that's not an eyesore. Also, too, if you like, because I want to step back and like look at my creation and look at all the people doing busy work, and if it's just like, you know, multicolored hearts just bouncing all over the place, it's like, whoa, calm down. But and again, all of this was in just what felt like a very, very short amount of time.
When the heart came out, did you do anything to do it, or it was just because
it was just her? She was just happy with what she was doing.
Cool.
Social link.
So Brandon, I was actually running late to the Dragon Quest Builders 2 appointment because Damian and I were fighting the new Primal in Shadowbringers, and that was taking some time. And then going over to Dragon Quest Builders 2, and you had the two options. So you had the build one, and then you had the story.
Yeah. And
I was kind of hoping that I would get a chance to play both, because I really wanted to see like how the beginning of the game played out and what the context was. But I did not, unfortunately, which is kind of a bummer. So I didn't get to play build mode. But the way they're setting up the story is really, really cool. And I think I can come at this from a slightly different perspective than a lot of the like practical gameplay improvements that you saw.
because I really love the setup of this game, and I really love the setup of the first Builders, because it takes place. So at the end of Dragon Quest 1, you can make a choice basically to side with the Dragon Lord, and that's the timeline that Builders is set, where everything goes bad. Well, at the end of Dragon Quest 2, you don't get a decision like that. And so they can't really do the same trick twice. And so what happens is, the ultimate evil is defeated, but all of his henchmen are like, no, we still want to cause a ruckus. And so they kind of just go off on their own. And the intro has so much more personality and story to it than the intro of Dragon Quest Builders 1 had, where the beginning of Dragon Quest Builders 1 is actually pretty brief. All that stuff is just kind of window dressing over the core of the gameplay, and this felt a lot more crafted, because you're on this boat and you're you're not really held captive, but you're kind of being bullied by all of these talking monsters, and they all have their own personalities, and they're kind of cracking jokes, and you're going through the tutorial and you're learning all of the mechanics of the game, but it's just really entertaining going through all of that dialogue. And you kind of have, it's not just like, hey, you're doing this stuff, but it actually ends up with kind of this exciting moment where they want you to learn how to pick stuff up and how to place blocks, but they do it where oh no, there's holes in the ship that are appearing. And so in order to save us, you have to go and pick up boxes and quickly try to go and plug up the holes. And so it just felt like way more of an event than what you got in the first game. And just the kind of the UI, and I feel like the presentation as a whole is a little bit more vibrant, because then the ship does crash and you're on this deserted island, and you go and you meet this survivor, and she gives you your first task. And to kind of illustrate the different objectives that you have to do for this task, you have little pictures that kind of show up each thing, and everything just felt a little bit clearer, a little bit more vibrant, and the story, maybe it's just that intro, maybe it doesn't carry through for the whole game, but I thought it was a little bit more grabbing than what it was in Dragon Quest Builders 1, so I thought that was cool.
Lore-wise, you also had this like a god almost speaking to you,
yes.
Just in your head, and you were the only person that could hear it. And there was definitely the sense of you're very important, we need you, Builder, to go save the world. And in this, it's just you and your buddies, And so I'm excited to see if they decide the story's maybe going to take a step back, and we're going to focus more on your relationship with all of these people. And in the first game also, and I'm curious if this carries over, you would actually say goodbye to all of the characters, and there were 4 chapters, and every time you'd move from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, you would completely leave the other world behind goodbye. And you would leave all of your items, all of your stuff, and your friends. And so I'm wondering if they're going to do that, or if a couple people carry over, or if everyone's connected. You can always go back to that original area. And I think both work. In the first game, it was kind of fun to start over, and okay, I'm getting better at this whole building thing. So now that they, start from scratch, it's kind of fun to to prestige almost, and apply what I've learned. One final thing that was a little weird, because it's been a little while since I played Builder, so I forgot oh yeah, right jump is circle, and right attack is triangle, and there's just some weird buttons that you don't normally get in games like this.
I want to actually talk about combat a little bit, because combat was definitely a weak aspect of Dragon Quest Builders 1.
Not a hard game.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, and obviously not the main focus of it, not the main appeal.
Yeah.
But something I noticed, it's very similar, where it's still very mashy. But in Dragon Quest Builders 1, I felt when you fight enemies, you're just kind of slamming into each other.
Yeah.
And there were exceptions to that, depending on the type of enemy that you were fighting. But even a basic skeleton warrior in Builders 2, which is kind of the tutorial fight that you're doing, I felt its attack animations were a little bit more deliberate. So you just had a little bit more room to kind of maneuver and get out of the way. And still very, very similar, not this huge transformative upgrade. And I guess I'd have to play Builders 1 to double check, but it felt a little bit better from just a presentation perspective, I think. So be curious to get your thoughts.
Yeah, there were a couple new enemy types, which was fun. But yeah, nothing about the combat necessarily jumped out at me.
Yeah.
As being different.
Yeah, just slight, but I don't know. I felt like I could get a sense of it.
But the one final thing that initially I was like, because you fear change in franchises that you love, especially with controls, and I was like, oh wait, that's different. I'm not sure if I like that, but I love it. So in the previous game, just like Minecraft, like on the bottom would be all of your tools. So you'd have to decide if you're going out, like, all right, how many pickaxes do I want to bring? Because these things are going to break. What weapons do I want to bring? How versatile do I want my inventory to be? Because I'm also going to be picking stuff up while I'm out in the world. And but it was tricky because if I'm like, oh, I'm building stuff, so I'd have my hammer out and I'm like like knocking down tunnels and stuff, and then an enemy would pop up. I would usually just like use my hammer because I'm like, it's in my hands. Like I don't want to have to switch to something because it's just some dumb thing that I have to hit. Now your excavating tools and your weapon are totally separate. So when you equip your weapon is always triangle. That is the only thing that button does, is it attacks enemies. And your anything that is selected, like of the tools that you use, is the right trigger. So like you'll never confuse that. So you can be like going through a tunnel and then some guy pops up, weapon, and then back to building. And it actually is kind of nice having it be the trigger, because if you just hold down the trigger, he'll just constantly be smacking like he does in even just like the game intro. You just see him like walking around smacking the blocks, and so that felt really great. And like one of my favorite things that they do that Portal Knights doesn't do, Minecraft doesn't do. Again, there might be some mod or update to Minecraft that I haven't seen, but you can strafe. When you're building stuff, so it makes it just like putting a line of blocks so easy. And you can also look up and look down or look straight forward. So if you're like on a block looking down, and this was true in the first game, but it's just what I love about specifically the way they do world building, literally. And it's also nice when you're looking up. So if you want to do a wall, you just bump up in one direction, then look up and just go back, and then there's like a 2-block wall that took 15 seconds to put together. I don't know if I mentioned it, but this was a time demo, and I was sad when it was over.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's just so nice to see something that's taking a slight risk here or there with updating it, in the interest of just making it feel better. But it just seemed like there was a whole checklist, and they were like, that's better now, that's better now, that's better now.
Yeah.
Like if this was an ongoing PC game, this was a killer update, like that just made quality of life all over the place.
It's something where I feel like you can just kind of imagine what it's like already. You probably don't really need to get your hands on it to get a sense of it, but I'm just so excited about co-op that I wish that was part of the demo. That would be really cool, because that's one of the biggest new features of Dragon Quest Builders.
And I wonder if the demo, as it comes out on July 12th,
yes,
I wonder
we'll
if
have
that will have co-op.
Yeah, the
or
demo,
how different that will be compared to this.
I imagine it'll just be the same as the Japanese demo, like Dragon Quest Builders 1 was, but I'm not sure if the Japanese demo had co-op or not. So,
yeah.
Brandon, I could feel the passion, man. I could feel the love for Dragon Quest Builders, which is absolutely awesome. Which means, last but certainly not least, Michael P. Huber, you have some intense competition.
I know, man. Jeez.
I think you're gonna need to bring out your noodles.
Quick question though, Chef. Do you have a favorite skeletal warrior?
My favorite skeletal warrior. I know how much skeletal warriors mean to you, so I don't just want to like throw something out.
Yeah.
I'll need to stew on it.
Sit on it. Yeah.
I got one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Stalfos from Zelda.
Ooh.
Stalfos.
Ooh.
Okay.
Those are good.
All right.
Skyrim, hands down. Because I just bow and arrow exclusively in that game, and they just explode, and it feels so good to have them notice you and go running up the hallway at you. Next.
Excellent.
I feel like my skeletal warrior may not be from a video game.
Yeah.
So I have to think.
Army of Darkness, good skeletal.
What's the skeletal pirate from Killer Instinct again?
I don't know the name of him, but I know exactly what you're thinking about, with like the bandana
Yeah,
and
that
the sword and
guy's
shield.
sick.
Yeah,
what
yeah.
were we doing?
That guy's sick.
Yeah.
Asking Chef questions.
Yeah. Skeletal
Spinal.
warriors.
Thank
I'll have
you.
to think about it.
It's too
Spinal.
good.
Yeah.
Spartle.
So noodles first.
Noodles first. I need some thick noodles.
Some thick noodles coming to you courtesy of a premier developer in the industry. Control.
Oh.
Control are my noodles today.
Sam Lake presents.
Sam Lake presents
Noodles.
Remedies. Control.
You know how Don was fist pumping for Destroy All Humans?
Yeah.
Ian is double fist pumping for Control.
Ian's
right now.
weeping right now.
Weeping blood.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Man.
I got to play this sitting right next to Ian, and it was awesome. And I really want to talk about well, I did want to talk about that, but let me just talk about the ray tracing really quick.
I thought of my favorite skeletal warrior. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's ray tracing.
No, the Skeleton Knight in Berserk.
Awesome.
Oh,
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is sick.
Yep.
For nostalgia's sake, I'm gonna say Jason and the Argonauts.
Right on.
Just classic. Does the T-800 count?
Harryhausen.
Is that a skeletal warrior, Jones?
Yeah,
T-800, the
Yeah,
end
the
of
what-
Terminator 1.
Definitely more skeletal than warrior.
Okay.
You know? 'Cause
Yeah.
it's definite soldier vibes,
Yeah.
but
Kind of-
Only at Easy Allies will you have game impressions
That'd be
interrupted
interesting.
by talk of skeletal warriors.
Yeah, shout out to Dark Souls Skeleton Warriors.
Yeah. And Demon Souls, dude. 4-1.
literally
Let's go.
literally the game
4-1.
the game's skeleton warriors right now is like, what the hell?
Yeah, what the hell, man? Control.
4-1.
Something that we were really hyped on. Something we were really hyped on last year that we just had
Yes.
glowing kind of first impressions on.
Yeah.
How does it keep in the torch burning?
So first and foremost, half jokingly but half serious, the ray tracing, the visuals. This game is gorgeous. It is so beautiful, so much better visually than when I last saw it. Like actually blown away by the visuals. The ray tracing, because they were hyping it up. It was so hyped that like in the bottom right, you could just have it say like RTX on, like within a logo,
Dude,
for ray
they
tracing.
didn't give me that at my demo.
If you wanted to like capture it with the like
Hell
ray
yeah,
tracing.
did you?
No,
Oh.
I turned it off. I turned it
Oh
off.
man, that would have been so
You
good.
should have left it on for like a little bit.
Yeah, you
Probably
should have
the
done
beginning.
it.
I think the beginning probably has it. The clip, dude. The clip. I played this for like 30 minutes. The clip was like 20 gigs. So
I'm assuming this was just on PC capture. That's nice.
So it was on
They
PC.
had that for Borderlands 3 as well.
The ray tracing got me though. Like the gimmick, the graphical gimmicks get me when they actually add to the game, and I was like in a like a boiler room or whatever, and there was like not a mirror, but just like a reflective surface, and I could just make out the outline and the details of my character, just those extra little details coming through with the ray tracing. But the main attraction, there's a couple main reasons I want to talk about Control. One of them was I was sitting right next to Ian, and wow, this game is really like Metroidvania.
Yes.
Like we went in completely different areas. He was somewhere else, I was somewhere else.
That's cool.
We were like talking to each other. I was like Ian and I legit talked to each other a bunch of times. I was like, "Well, where are you? Like, how'd you get there?" He's like, "Wait, how'd you get there? Like, I need to go. Is this the right way?"
And then everybody else demoing it was just like, shh, quiet, come on, man.
Shut up. Hushed tones. We talked in hushed tones.
Turn it up.
I am capable.
All
of
the
hushed
way.
tones. How'd I turn it up? Hey, I said please. All right, I have manners.
You were shouting in the room.
The headphone shout. You know, like,
No, what?
Max volume. Max volume, please. The Metroidvania element was on display, and just Remedy is so good at world building and really sucking you into the world. And like, you take this elevator down, and you're in kind of the underbelly of the old house, and there was just so many different ways to go, and it just felt like I was not only exploring this location, but like trying to get it back up and running. You know, it gave me the vibe of like, this place is falling apart. All hell's breaking loose. We gotta like get it under control. And what's really cool is there's other kind of like human characters around, because you're the director, and like I went into this back room and there's people like examining a crime scene. So just a lot of these moments that have you stop and take a knee that I really appreciate.
Cool. How did the combat feel?
Combat's the other thing I'd like to talk about. Remedy. Best in the biz. Like,
The best in the entire business.
With
You will,
combat.
you will defend it with your life.
No,
Okay.
that's Sekiro. Sekiro's best combat.
I was like,
in the
you
biz.
just told me that
Today.
today.
So, Quantum Break may not be their best game, but it really does have some of their best combat. And this has a lot of similarities with Quantum Break. You have the dodge, you have the telekinesis throw. It just feels a lot cleaner, a lot more refined. And I only had a few abilities. I had the like telekinesis throw and the dash. The dash feels so good. I wish I could show my footage for
The
this.
air dashes.
Yeah, there's like air dash, a lot of platforming. Again, so much exploration. And the combat's so good because things are just coming at you from all sides. They're ducking and covering. There's like these really creepy, dead corpse-looking demons that just like unnervingly float at you and shoot things at you, and you try to shoot them, and they just like freakily move out of the way. So it just captures that that chaotic nature of combat perfectly. And the switching of the gun is cool because it's the pistol, but you can morph it. So really seamlessly, you can just be like firing off your pistol rounds. If you run out of bullets, it needs to recharge. So then you like switch over to the shotgun form. Shotgun feels great. They
Well, you
explode
never
in,
really
like,
got to see the weapon change then.
It just kept the shotgun, man. I ran on ammo a little bit.
I see.
While it's recharging, gotta go pistol.
Yeah.
You shoot them and like there's this blood red mist that pops out of them. So satisfying. And again, just the tone of this game is so incredible. All I want to do is just explore this place. It feels like a real place, a place just only in video games, man. It makes you just stop and love video games. Just exploring this location. Like, we are doing this. It's 2019. Games look so good. Stories are so good. And just going through these environments, like, we're there, man. We're there. Ray tracing.
Speaking of the story,
Yeah.
a game I think that is intentionally enshrouding itself in mystery. Did you get a sense of what was going on, what your objective was, why you care about this character?
Yes. I don't know if I want to say it. It was like at the very end of the presentation, they did give a little backstory, a little motivation for the character. There is some personal stuff with the character, some loss. She's been through some things. She just had there's a tragic loss. But I like that she's kind of thrust into this role.
Yeah, she's like a new director, right?
Yeah, brand new director. So when you're talking to all these other people, it's like they're kind of even more familiar with things and they're more of an expert than her, even though she's the one in charge. So it's this really cool dynamic of like not a fish out of water, but like she's in the deep end now,
Hubert, you came out of the gates swinging. Next question.
Yeah.
Does your broth also have a shotgun? And what is your broth?
It does not have a shotgun. It has a pistol.
Oh.
So my broth is not something. I didn't think I would bring this game. It is not something I usually gravitate towards. But my broth is Journey to the Savage Planet.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh,
Curveball, Brad.
very
Yeah.
curveball.
Yeah.
Why don't you gravitate to something like this?
These games are usually way too overwhelming for me. There's just it's this prospect of like, here's a million things you can do. We're not going to give you any direction, and there's no end credits. Like, just this daunting task and commitment for these games. This is like a No Man's Sky survival planet game that's streamlined. They said they want people to finish this game. He said it's going to be about 12, 15 hours. And I really, really liked what I played of this game.
What kind of game is it?
So it's like it's a exploration. Like, again, it's like No Man's Sky, but like everything is streamlined and parsed down. So I didn't get too many details, but I'm on this planet alone, and I'm trying to refuel my ship to get off and get to like the next planet, kind of like planet hopping. And it's you and your like AI ship companion, and she's kind of helping you through, like giving you directions, kind of, hey, you know, you need to find this tool for this reason, and then now you need to find fuel to refuel your ship. But it's really colorful and really nice to play. The platforming was excellent. There were platforming sections.
Is this third person, first person?
First person, yeah.
Okay.
So first person, and you start out just with your pistol and like some goo grenades, and what
Goo grenades?
like it's like a soda goo grenade thing. Yeah.
What are you doing with the
course.
goo?
I don't. You chuck it. Yeah. You chuck these things.
I had talked about this game with Jones before.
Yeah.
I've played this.
Yeah.
And I was like, you use these things to lure these weird
Yeah.
bug-eyed aliens to
Yeah.
get eaten and stuff.
Yeah, there's just so much weirdness to this game, but like, you know, you sit down at E3, you're playing the games. Like some games, obviously, you walk into Final Fantasy VII, you're like, all right, anything less than 11 out of 10 is a letdown. You walk into other games where you don't know what to expect, low expectations. So naturally, you know, I just went in. I always go in open-minded, but low expectations. But what really got me was first the visuals. This game is really charming to look at. Tons of color, tons of variety. There was a big vista that I was standing on, and there was like a snowy biome in the distance, and waterfalls, and cliffs, and a jungle, and just a lot of strange creatures running around. Really unique-looking alien life forms. And I was like, okay, awesome. Then I shot one of them, and
then I fell in love.
yeah, and then just the satisfying pop. You shoot these things, and you just feel like it. You feel it pop, and just goo kind of splatters everywhere.
This is disgusting.
It
But
doesn't
it's
actually-
not
It
in
doesn't
a-
pop, actually.
It's not in a. It doesn't like. Yeah, it doesn't burst, but you just feel
yeah,
like.
you feel the pop.
Yeah, and it like, kind of goes limp, and it's like covered in goo and everything.
Did you feel weird at all coming to this strange planet and looking at all this color and all these creatures and then opening fire on them?
Yeah, I mean they shot first. You know,
Okay,
they
okay.
come at you.
You were not the aggressor.
He's not culpable.
Yeah. And then there's all these RPG elements to dive into. You know, they're dropping resources, and then I can use those resources to upgrade. Again, everything's streamlined, so it's not overwhelming. You can upgrade your gun, your jetpack, your glove, which does like melee and
Oh, you have
other
a
abilities.
jetpack?
Yeah, you have a jetpack for like a double jump. And there was like one or two other skill trees, and again, those aren't even overwhelming. There's like 8 to 12 skills per category. Just everything about it was streamlined, so it just felt really comfortable and accessible to play for a genre that is usually intimidating
To you.
And to me personally, yes.
I really love so much of what you're saying. I guess a question that I have is, I think to sell the strangeness of something, it has to feel believable in terms of scale, or at least it has to like seem like it is bigger than maybe it actually is.
Yeah.
How was the size of what you were exploring?
Big. So like maybe square area, not Skyrim,
Yeah.
but verticality. Very tall. You look up to a mountain, very tall. Ian and I both were struggling at points like, how do you get down there? How do you get up there? And that's kind of the puzzle element and kind of the free form. And again, like there were things I needed to craft where I needed some resources. So it holds your hand just enough. There are some waypoints. You can track some quests. It'll lead you to a place. And then it's like, okay, now kind of figure out how to traverse further. Like we got you here. Now you go the last little bit on your own.
Did you feel like when you darted off in different directions that you were finding different things, like you'd be finding different resources or different creatures, or like how often were you stumbling upon like variety?
A fair amount. I played, only like 20 or so minutes, and it's
Sure.
just the first biome. There's only like 4 of these areas, so not too many. But again, there was snow and like jungle and rock and stuff. And then one of the quests, it like brought me into this like molten core vibes. Huge lava everywhere, and there's even more platforming there. Like rocks are coming up and going down. And there's like little alien bugs shooting at you. Then I found some like sci-fi tech, but then also some like fantasy stone ancient looking tech. So a really cool clashing there. Yeah.
Hubert, when Brad told me about this game, he said 3 magic words that I know resonate with you very strongly. Ratchet and Clank.
Yes, I thought
that's the tone of the game.
definitely
It's
there-
Ratchet and Clank.
Yes, there is some humor, and
Because
It even
the
looks
trailer
it
definitely
looks
has like a
Ratchet and
corporate
Clank.
vibe, almost
Yeah.
Outer Worldsy, where it's just like, congratulations for signing up for this, fantastic adventure. We're sure you're going to do great. And in the teaser
Yeah.
trailer, like just bodies everywhere, and it's
Yeah.
just like very much like everything's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Kind of Hitchhiker's Guide a little bit. Of just
Totally.
like, the fear of the goofy fear of the unknown in
Yeah.
space.
yeah,
You started off like kind of comparing it to No Man's Sky.
yeah,
And thinking about my experience with No Man's Sky, an idea that I really liked is that when you're kind of cataloging these creatures that you see and taking note of them. Is that something that you can do in
Yes.
Savage Planet?
Oh, Ben, you're teeing it up for me. I almost forgot about this. You have a scanner.
Happy accidents.
Yeah, you have a scanner, and again, stuff I usually don't find that interesting, I found so interesting. Usually that stuff is tedious and boring, but it's like you scan things and it's just really stylized and cleanly presented. So you'll scan something and a card will pop up and it'll be like logged or whatever, complete, just really flashy, dopamine, just really, really clean and pretty and streamlined looking. And it's really easy to find that stuff too, because it'll kind of have a glint. So you're not just like scan this, scan this, scan this, scan this. It's like it kind of leads you to know what you've scanned already and what you need to scan.
Mm-hmm.
So just really streamlined is the name of the word.
Did you make
Name
the
of the game.
grappling hook?
That was the last thing I needed to do. Ran out of time right at the end. I got all the recipes, like huge thing to make this grappling hook, and then I needed like 15 more shards from something, and I was like looking to kill things and trying to find the shards, and then E3 was over.
E3 was over.
The day was over.
I think that is not the only thing coming to a close. Gentlemen, that is going to be the once per year Frame Trap Noodles and Broth. Excellent job. Great descriptions, great enthusiasm, passion, and a nice variety of games, I think. And so, of course, you guys did impress the Jinra Mega Corporation, and you will now be allowed to live in Jinra Tower.
Yay.
But the CEO, who intentionally keeps himself mysterious, what he likes to do is all of those who are now entered into the circle, into the society of Jinra, he likes to greet personally. And so you are ushered into an elevator, and you're there for a long time, kind of just dealing with the realization that you don't have to live in fear anymore. Now you have the safety of Jinra Tower, and the door opens, and a man in a black suit has his back to you, and he turns around and he says, "Gentlemen, nice to meet you. My name is Shizuya, Bornobu Shizuya Jr., and I would like to welcome you to our home. And unfortunately, usually I like this greeting to be very welcoming and jovial, but I have some bad news. We are under threat of a planned attack. And there are 3 individuals organizing the attack who have been enhanced but somehow uncorrupted by the D virus. One of them wears a police vest with the letters RPD. The other wields a wooden mallet. And the third, twin blades. Will you have to deal with the attack? What will be the consequences? What is going on with Jinra Corporation? Find out next year on Frame Trap Noodles and Broth. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And a huge thank you to my guests, Michael Huber, Bradley Ellis, and Brandon Jones. Don't go anywhere. We have more impressions to give. We're going to be here. We're going to get some other people up here. Talking about games, Daniel Bloodworth, if you can hear this, what is next on the agenda?
Pokemon Sword and Shield.
No.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna get to play it tomorrow though.
We can talk about it again. I'm way more excited to hear your take on it than
Yes.
mine. We
Okay.
just have Kyle has a very irregular schedule this week, and so Kyle will be not staying with us for the full stream
you gotta
tonight.
get Kyle up
And
here
so
talking about Pokemon. It's
gotta-
just, it's
yeah.
right. It's
Gotta
right.
get it.
Especially since there was no Detective Pikachu coverage at all from Easy Allies. So
Sure.
Kyle Bossman and I will talk Pokemon on
Redemption.
this stage.
Brandon, I'm
That'll
gonna
make up a
correct
little bit
you.
for it.
We talked about Detective Pikachu on Frame Trap.
Oh, sorry.
Got
Okay,
him.
Okay. Oof. All right. Okay. Just from me.
Got him, chat.
I failed the Pikachu crowd.
No, it's okay. I'm just joking around. But yeah, let's do a little switcheroo, get some new people up here, and let's talk about some Pokemon.
Yeah.